And this is Multifamily Masters Live. This is our weekly mastermind call. We don't do this every week, but I try to do them three times a month for the most part. Last week, we had a call on operations. What happens after you get a property under contract? We dove deep and we did a case study on a property that we purchased, 60, which one did we do? 60 unit or 66 unit apartment complex in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We went through and we dug deep into how we operate that property with the asset management team, with the property management team, how we handle all the LP investors and what everything looks like from beginning to end. This week, we're going to break it down and talk about virtual assistants.
Thank you so much.
And the ins and outs of virtual assistants, how we hire virtual assistants, how we get college educated, very well-spoken, English-spoken virtual assistants from the Philippines. They work 8 hours a day. We give them good pay, but we still get an absolute value for our dollar in the United States. Next week, we're going to break down capital raising a little bit and talk about some systems and strategies that we use to raise capital. So tonight, virtual assistants. What does it look like to have a team of virtual assistants? We have a lot of virtual assistants who work for us. How do we babysit them? How do we oversee them? How do we make sure that we're not getting hustled? How do we make sure we're not getting ripped off? Because I have been hustled in the past. A little bit ago, I gave the story of a guy named Julius. I fired a bunch of virtual assistants 6-9 months ago, maybe. And that's when I started using Bree and Real Help 360 for all of our virtual assistants. Because the virtual assistant I fired, long story short, he had 3 full-time jobs. We weren't overseeing them because the virtual assistant company I got them from said, don't babysit them. They want flexibility. They're going to do a great job. Long story short, I was paying this gentleman for 40 hours a week. And he was probably working for, true story, 5 hours a week. Let me mute everybody. And I got hustled. And it was about 6 months of that because I felt guilty. I didn't want to fire him because he had a little baby. He had a wife. And I felt guilty firing him. And it wasn't a huge salary that I was giving him. It was still a good salary. It was an honest day's work. But he had 3 full-time jobs and he was spending no time on my stuff. And when I called him out on pretty much why the F is everything getting F'd up, you know, I finally got to the end of my string per se. He said, I really appreciate you understanding, Mr. Garrison. I really appreciate you not letting me go, but I have 3 full-time jobs. I'm only spending about 5 hours a week on all the tasks that you gave me. And then I worked on getting all of my passwords squared away. We let them go. We switched to virtual assistant companies. I left about 17 virtual assistants go, something like that. And we are now with Real Help 360. So, Bree, real quick, introduce yourself. I appreciate you hopping on here, miss.
Thank you for having me. So again, my name is Bree. I run Real Help 360. We are a virtual assistant agency that caters mostly to professionals in the real estate industry, whether that's agents, investors, property managers, and related trades like electricians and plumbers. And like Aaron said, we source RVAs from the Philippines. We have a very talented pool of people from there. In my previous career, I was a speech pathologist. I have worked with a lot of individuals on accent modification. So all RVAs we hire, they have great English to start with, but I work individually with them to ensure that English is absolutely top-notch to meet all your business needs.
And what I like about Real Help 360 is, hold on here, let me switch something. What I do like about Real Help 360 is, number one, they offer continuous education for their virtual assistants, not just the speech and the language part that she just talked about, but admin tasks, digital marketing, social media management, you name it, they have continuing education, and they actually set aside an hour or 2 a day, 2 or 3 times a week. I don't know exactly what it was. I think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They set aside time to learn task and more task and to better hone in their skill set. And then Tuesday and Thursday, they offer a couple hours of speech pathologist, speech linguistics, whatever. What word am I looking for, Bree?
Accent modification.
There we go. That sounds a lot more professional than what I was throwing around. But in general, that's what I do like about Real Help 360. And the company that I came from before that I was using for virtual assistants, they had a policy of don't oversee your virtual assistants. Give them the task, let them go do their thing. And now we have different tools and technologies that Bree and that company have set up in place where I can see what all of my virtual assistants are doing on their screen throughout. I don't know how many times it is, 20 times throughout an hour, 30 times throughout the hour, just random snapshots. We have a live Zoom channel with virtual assistants on it every day where I can hop in and kind of be like, hey, I need help with this, I need help with that, et cetera, et cetera. And they have a couple other tools and different things that make it a lot smoother and a lot easier. And it's more like having a team versus before I kind of had all these different people doing all these different tasks and it wasn't really a team environment. Nobody really knew what the other person was doing. But now it's a lot more team feeling. We have team meetings every morning. And this was something that Bree kind of implemented for us. Every morning at 8 a.m., we have a team meeting with all of the virtual assistants going over kind of, we talk about, man, let me mute a couple of people. We talk about mindset, we talk about goals, because my goal is not only to have virtual assistants work for us in hustling. My goal is to have a team of people that we're helping them get better. We're working on their goals. We're working on their mindset. We're fostering a community, and we have a lot better retention that way because people in the Philippines, at least from my understanding of what all of our virtual assistants, we talk about this regularly because I'm interested in their lives and what they have going on a little bit. They talk about how they work 12-hour days. They're never allowed taking a break. It's just go, 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 go. One girl told me a story how she was sick with COVID and they just wanted her to work the entire time. Versus me, and because of Bree, we set up a process where our virtual assistants work an 8-hour day instead of a 12-hour day. They eliminate that 1-hour commute to and from work. They eliminate the $100 that they spend, $75 that they spend in that commute to and from work. So it's great for the virtual assistant. It's great for us. They make a little bit better money than they would in the Philippines. They eliminate 4 or 5 hours of work and commute. And I'm able to pick some really top tier people and get some really good people from Real Help 360 at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost me in the United States. So let's break it down. Let's just jump right into it. How do we use, and so here's kind of some notes I had, and anyone who has a question, feel free to shoot it in the chat below. We are recording this. I'm going to share this recording out on social media. I'm going to put it on our YouTube channel, etc. And we got about 35 people, much appreciated. A lot of mastermind members, a lot of people who just hopped on kind of last minute. I didn't decide to open this up to the public until 6 hours ago. So I don't have a big room full of people. So that's kind of a good thing. But any questions you got, drop them in the chat below. Bree is here to answer anything from a technicality standpoint, and I'm able to answer anything from a user standpoint. I told her I would do this because a lot of our mastermind members have questions about virtual assistants and how to be efficient with it. Because a virtual assistant can help you scale your business in a crazy, crazy, crazy way if you use them in the right way. So I step back and I want to look at my business from an airplane type of view. I want to look at my business and figure out what are the repetitive tasks, number one. Number two, what are the tasks on a computer that I don't have to be local, which is damn near everything computer oriented? And what do we do on the telephones that can be kind of outsourced and handled by virtual assistants? So because me and my team, we want to focus on money-making activities. We want to focus on sales, depending on what we're talking about. We want to focus on finding real estate properties, and we have virtual assistants who help us do that as well. We want to focus on capital raising because my goal is to buy a boatload more of real estate. Over the last 18 months, me and my real estate team have purchased about $50 million worth of real estate, Invest Now Capital. So I'm very fortunate there. I'm very fortunate compared to a lot of other real estate investors who we're sitting in a very good situation, and I'm not stressed or kind of behind the eight ball a little bit right now. And so we're really in growth mode. So we want to sit back and we want to focus on the direct, what's going to give the biggest bang for our business right now? What do I need to be directly involved with? And then what can we hand out to virtual assistants? Marketing, advertising, finding deals, direct to seller outreach. We have a complete team of virtual assistants who are on the phone all day long cold calling. That's not a sexy part of the business, but then we also have an acquisitions team who then fields those calls after the VA kind of screens round number one. Then we have an acquisitions department that takes over the call from there. And then we get properties under contract in a couple different markets around the country. We either keep them, buy them, wholesale them out, whatever we can do to make a dollar from a real estate standpoint. And our virtual assistants are a big part of that end of the business. They do all of our social media, all of our digital marketing, all of our admin and secretary type of work. A big thing that we're able to hand off is even if I go and I buy 50 apartments tomorrow, and I have just hypothetically a third party property manager, I am going to install a virtual assistant team to help us with property management. Bree mentioned that her virtual assistants, her company specializes and focuses on real estate investors, real estate agents, and everything kind of real estate related, right? That doesn't mean that they can't help with other businesses. They help with a lot of other sectors, niches, and other businesses, but because they are real estate focused, they kind of know real estate a little bit. So they came in and looked at our business, figured out where we were slacking a little bit, where we could kind of hand the ball off a little bit so that my team can focus on the money-making activities and the virtual assistants can do what the virtual assistants are very good at doing. Bree, what are some of the tasks that your virtual assistants kind of focus on? What are some of the tasks that they excel at? What do a lot of your clients kind of come in and say, this is what I need help with? How can you help me? What kind of people can you throw our way per se?
Yeah, so our assistants have a really wide range of skills. Like Garrison had mentioned before, they can do everything from cold calling. We also have assistants who do specialize in marketing, social media, data entry, on the real estate side, research and analysis. They can handle things like calendar management, client communication, listing management. Really, it comes down to anything you can think of that might be a time suck for your business, you name it, and we can find someone to help take that off your hands so you can regain that time and scale your business faster.
So property managers, real estate investors, real estate agents, what are kind of the three big tasks that most people initially need help with so that they can scale their business a little bit? What have you found?
Yeah, so a lot of it is cold calling, property management tasks like maintenance, and then the calendar and email management is what a lot of people come in asking for help for. But then, once they start using our team, we can introduce them to things they may not have thought of, to really add that to the VA's tasks rather than have them do it. And then they're again able to scale much faster.
And kind of what we do with our virtual assistants is we'll start out with a few small tasks, kind of get them implemented into our business, get them feel how we do business, what we're expecting, what we're looking for, and then their lists of tasks grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And eventually it almost feels as if they're definitely part of the team, but it almost feels like they're a partner where they know what their goals are. We implement KPIs. Like, for example, some of our property management KPIs. How many inquiries have we had off of our marketing and advertising? How many replies have we had in regards to our Facebook marketplace advertising? How many showings have we had from those replies? Of the showings, how many applications have we gotten? And of those applications, how many leases have we signed? And that's just a small little sector of it. But kind of implementing KPIs like that across the board will go a long way. On top of staying on top of your team, having that morning meeting first thing in the morning, and then I let them go do their thing. And even though we have technology and tools in place that they're always on Zoom. Number one, there's a lot, Bree and her team has a live Zoom channel that all the virtual assistants are always in, that I can just go in and request things on the spot, and check in with people. Number two, I can see what their screens and stuff are for the most part. But at the end of the day, we get our list of KPIs, and after week one, after week two, after week three, after week four, I see kind of what the KPIs are. I should be heading in the green direction, meaning in the positive. And those KPIs keep getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And then I don't necessarily need to check up on people's computer screens, even though we still do. But it's more so keeping track of the KPIs. It's more so every morning having goals for the virtual assistants, having certain tasks for the virtual assistants, and letting them go do their thing with oversight, with continuous education, with continuous training, and things of that sort. Let me see here. I got a couple notes here. How do we monitor their productivity? I just mentioned with the KPIs. I mentioned with the screen sharing capabilities. I mentioned with the screen, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but kind of like the screenshots and the snapshots. What do our end of day reports look like? Long story short, it's a form that they fill out every day. It's the exact same form. It says pretty much, what were your wins for the day? Give me your 3 wins for the day. Give me the 3 things that you could have improved on for the day. A little section of, were there any big major headaches, any big failures, anything like that that we need to know about? Because we will focus on those the next morning. And I don't want two bad, hypothetically, I don't want 2 bad days in a row, type of things. I mentioned some of the KPIs. How do we provide free training? So Bree and her team has free training for all of the virtual assistants that can, well, Bree, what does the free training and the modules and the different things like that, what's that consist of?
So yeah, it's really task specific. So it just depends on what we want to train that VA in. So whether that is something like bookkeeping, Photoshop, graphic design skills, anything like that, we have modules for them to learn that skill, or if they're already very familiar with it, to keep updated on that skill.
And one of the questions here is, how do you retain your virtual assistants for the long term? That goes back to creating a awesome work environment. And I mentioned this a little bit ago, a work environment where we focus on not just us and our goals, which is a very big part of it for sure, but we focus on the virtual assistant's goals. Every virtual assistant has a different goal or different mindset of themselves. What are they trying to accomplish? Like several of our virtual assistants are want to build houses for their family in the Philippines. So we talk about that. We give them opportunities to make extra money with commissions or referrals or different processes that we implement, because we want them to always be kind of striving for that better life, striving for that, whatever their goals may be. So we really try to listen to their goals, and a lot of their goals come from, or I shouldn't say a lot of their goals come from, but we get to know them on the onboarding process that Bree and Bree's team implement for us. We have a very detailed questionnaire that every virtual assistant fills out. And Bree and them have them fill it out, but then we get a copy of that and we get a personal insight into that virtual assistant. And something else that's kind of cool with Bree's team, they have a lot of virtual assistants kind of sitting in their back pocket, that are ready to go and ready to be implemented in people's businesses when they reach out. If you need a bookkeeper, she probably has a couple bookkeepers ready to go. But for a lot of our tasks, we tell her exactly what we're looking for. Very detailed. Here's what we're looking for. Here's the skill sets we're looking for. Here's the hours that this particular position is going to be working. And we have virtual assistants working different shifts per se, depending on exactly what they're doing. But she then takes this information, she goes and interviews her team of virtual assistants and potentially other virtual assistants, I'm guessing. and they really find the right fit for our business. So that was a big difference from the company that we came from earlier. All of our virtual assistants are college educated, which is very interesting and kind of a surprise to me initially. A lot of them have master's degrees. A lot of them speak very fluent English. So kind of when you couple all of that together, it kind of creates an environment where we're able to grow. And we are able to focus on the tasks that are most important to us, but we're not slacking in any part of our business. Bree, anything that you want to add to kind of that little bit?
Excuse me, you cut out for a second, Garrison. Can you repeat that last question?
In general, anything you want to add to anything that I just kind of went over in regards to what your hiring process looks like, how you find your virtual assistants, whenever I tell you I need a bookkeeper that specializes in X, Y, Z, you take that information and then kind of what do you do with that information without going into detail, but how do you go and you find these really good virtual assistants? Like, what does that process look like? How long does it generally take if I need a virtual assistant to start for my team? What does that look like, the onboarding process?
Yeah, so I feel like that's something that really sets us apart compared to other virtual assistant agencies. Like you mentioned, we have a pool of really talented people who are ready to start working at any point. So we're not just assigning you any VA, we are assigning you the VA that has the skills you need. So we'll have an initial consultation together. I'll dive into what your business needs are, what you want taken off your plate. I then will go into our pool of VAs or start searching outside of that pool if necessary, find that person. Within about a week or so, arrange a meeting for you to approve that VA, and then we launch them for your business where you can start assigning them tasks. And then, like Garrison said, we manage and monitor them, which is another area that I feel really sets us apart, is that continuous project management that we do for our VAs. We're not just assigning you a VA and then handing that relationship off for you to manage completely. We stay in really regular contact with our VAs to make sure they're meeting your KPIs and that you are happy with the service they're providing.
And once again, if you do have any questions, drop them in the chat below. I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of the questions that we do have so far. Let's start with Vince. Can we discuss cold calling? What are you looking for? Large deals, 20 plus, smaller deals, 1, 2, 3 family. What is your buy box? How are you training or trained to talk to people? Is there a specific dollar amount? Vince, real quick, I'm guessing you're on here.
Yeah,
Speak up. Is there a specific dollar amount in regards to the project we're looking for?
Yeah, exactly.
In general, what we're doing with our cold callers right now is 70 units and less, apartment complexes. For the most part, that's our sweet spot to get direct to seller, number one. Every morning we have training for our cold callers, and I'm not really part of that. I have a team lead who handles all of that, Christy. Bree goes over English and what's that? What were the words you used there earlier?
Accent modification.
She works on their accent modification every Tuesday and Thursday, but every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those particular cold callers, we work on their goals and their goal setting in the morning. Throughout the day, we monitor all their calls. All their calls are recorded on a very detailed phone system that we have in place. And we also have inbound leads coming in. So they're not only calling, but we're also fielding incoming calls from some marketing and advertising. Postcards, yellow letters, different lists that we're reaching out to and sending mailers on. So we really handle the full gamut of it. In general, though, we have two different focuses, 175 and less, but we first start out with 20 units or less. We hit all the 20 unit or less lists first, and then we'll focus on the 75 units or less.
Now, with the
Nice.
large 75 and below, is there a dollar amount? Meaning, you know, I look for something, I don't know, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, whatever, or it just depends.
Totally depends on the markets we're talking about. So, for example, you know some of the markets that I'm interested in. I'm interested in markets where people don't necessarily focus all the time. I'm interested in Pittsburgh. I'm interested in some of the Midwest cities. I'm not going to throw, well, I mean, we can throw some names out there. Kansas City's sexy a little bit. Indianapolis is okay. But I'm not interested in the Southeast, which has been the hotbed over the last 3 to 5 years, because you got the blind leading the blind. You got rookies outbidding other rookies for deals that I can't compete with still today, even though a lot of those rookies and a lot of my friends and different people I know in this industry are going to have their backs up against the wall because they overpaid for properties and the numbers don't make sense. So I don't necessarily want to focus on those particular markets for me right now. Doesn't mean I don't love them. Doesn't mean you can't find deals going direct to seller. But my focus right now is Midwest. My focus right now is kind of affordable housing. When I say affordable housing, I'm talking B and C properties. I'm not really looking for A-class properties. I'm looking for properties that were built 1980s or newer in general. I'm probably looking for properties that are either mismanaged. I'm looking for some properties that potentially some buyers might have bought. Maybe they didn't implement their business strategy necessarily, or maybe they're getting eat up on taxes and insurance right now. Which is a big part of this business. And I'm going to come in and try to rescue, and I'm going to try to save the day a little bit.
So when we talk cold calling, also, when I say I see the way I wrote it, but how are they trained to talk to people? The reason why I asked that, and maybe this could be answered by Brianna, is that I've been called by cold calls. You know, I own real estate and all that, and it just seems like once you tell them like no, then boom, they just drop you. As opposed to maybe trying to start a conversation with you. Hey, what do you own or whatever? Because I actually try to get them to start a conversation. They just, you know, after you tell them, I really don't need you, but what are you doing? And once I try to start that conversation, usually I get dropped. So it's a weird situation. And so,
well, you know what? I don't hop on a phone call and we're not automatically like, hey, you want to sell your property? You know, that's not necessarily right off the bat. Long story short, you're a real estate investor. We're real estate investors. What do you own? What do you got going on? I want to strike up a friendship. When you think about going direct, when you think about going direct to seller, we're doing exactly the same thing that brokers do. What do brokers do? They network with property owners. They get to know property owners throughout time. They build a relationship. They try to build a relationship. And then whenever that individual wants to sell, thinks about selling, whether they want to sell or they're forced to sell, divorce, death, retirement, bad tenants, problematic property, whatever that reason may be, whenever they all of a sudden they wake up one day and this sucks, I want to sell it, or hey, I'm retiring, I'm out of here, I'm moving to Florida, I'm moving to a sunnier part of the country, I want to be the first person that they reach out to. Now, I'm going to let them know right off the bat that, hey, I'm buying, I'm calling you because I'm interested. And we also have a strategy down where I'll have a couple screens open. I'll have Google Maps open. I'll have Google Earth open. I'll tell them, be like, yo, I just checked out your property at 123 ABC Street. I like it. You ever think about selling that thing? You haven't? Cool. You still buying? What's your business? What do you got going on right now? Do you own other properties? And then it's just networking. I buy properties, you buy properties, let's connect. It's kind of like going to a conference, except for I reached out to them. I'm taking the initiative. And I've had people right off the bat be like, F you, this is a scam, I'm hanging up. They might not hang up on me right away, but then all of a sudden they give me their email address and we either put them into a buy box. Hey, you're looking for properties. Hey, if I come across something and maybe it doesn't fit in my buy box exactly, I'll hand it off to you. I don't have a problem with that. Give me a little bit of a wholesale fee if the numbers make sense.
Yeah, but the VA is able to start that initial conversation and then be able to pass it off to you. That's what I'm sort of asking, I guess.
Yeah. So the virtual assistants, they're calling. And the call with the virtual assistant might not be quite that fluid. Like, hey, you buy properties, we buy properties. That's me a little bit.
Yeah.
But the virtual assistant, they have a list of questions. They have scripts and stuff that we go over very regularly.
Okay.
They're calling, they're calling, they're calling. And then once they get to a point where this seems like an interesting conversation, hey, is it cool if I transfer you over to Christy or Dwight or Jason or Billy or someone in our acquisitions department? And they can take this conversation on to the next level a little bit. And
Okay.
then that person comes in and acts more like I just acted.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
And then, you know, also though, we don't have a limited mindset when we're doing the cold calling, meaning I'm calling this person to buy their property, but it doesn't mean that I'm then adding them to our buyers list or my goal. And I've told you, Vince, for years now, and I tell every one of my coaching students and mastermind members, you're no longer a real estate entrepreneur. You're no longer a real estate investor. Your goal is simple. You're a marketer, you're an advertiser, you're a networker. Your goal is to add everybody. Your goal is to put everyone's contact information, first name, last name, cell phone, and email address into your CRM, because your goal is number one. I want to build the world's largest CRM, plain and simple. And the reason I want to build the world's largest CRM, because I'm still making money off of the email addresses in the database I built way back when I started this business in the early 2000s, because I didn't have money to keep spending on marketing and advertising. And that email list has paid dividends. And so my virtual assistants know that. They have forms up on their computer. And they can input people right into our CRM. They can make notes on that person. This person's a buyer. They're looking for 30 to 60 units in the St. Louis metropolitan area. And then if I come across that property, hey, I got a 48 unit. You said you're looking for a 30 to 50 unit. Boom, here you go. And by the way, I mean, and they're continuously getting emails from us. Once we get their contact information, they're in our email sequence. And so I don't just disappear for the next 8 months and they never hear from me, but they're getting our monthly newsletters. They're getting our weekly send downs. They're getting updates on what we're working on. And some people might think that's overkill, but I'm just trying to build relationships. I'm trying to build consistency. I'm trying to build a platform where people know, like, and trust us. And the virtual assistants play a very big part of that from A to Z.
Yeah, that's huge with the CRM. That's by the way, that's an answer I didn't think about asking, but that's a good answer.
Well, whenever we're dialing, all the dialing is done directly from our CRM. So we upload this list of properties, right? This list of properties goes into our CRM. Our dialer is hooked into that CRM, and then we can make notes of people right on the spot. And I might get just whoever, John Smith, property owner, I might have 6 phone numbers and 4 emails here listed for him. I don't know which ones are correct, but if it's out of order, delete that phone number. If it's the wrong number, delete that phone number. And we're just kind of whittling through and trying to get very accurate information from the information that was provided through the lists that we buy. Almost every week, we're buying new lists of properties.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, very good. Very, very good question. Let's see, what other questions? How do you handle communication and collaboration with clients while working remotely? Bree, here's a question for you. How do you handle communication and collaboration with clients while working remotely? What without the specific tools and whatnot, but how do you handle that process?
Yeah, so I make myself available through a calendar link. You know, anyone who signs on to our team, you're going to have access to my calendar at any point to book a call. If there's anything we need to work out together, you're also able, I'm checking emails all day. You can communicate with me that way. I sit online most of the day, working with clients back and forth that way. So our team is really accessible. Does that
And
answer
for my
your
virtual
question?
yeah, no, that's good. And for my virtual assistant team, you know, we have different levels of virtual assistants. We have VAs who are managers. And so some of our VAs manage other VAs, if that makes sense. And only some of those VAs have direct access to me throughout the day. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone doesn't have my WhatsApp or my email or whatever that looks like, but they have a different chain of command per se to kind of handle problems and resolve issues that will handle that a lot faster than what I will. Once again, I'm the big picture guy. You know, I don't even know about a lot we're talking about direct to seller now for just example. I don't know about a lot of those properties. Like we make offers on right now, not as many as I want, but we're making 2-3 offers a day, four offers a day. And a lot of those deals we wholesale out. We have a complete wholesale division that I never talk about. But I have a complete team of people that are handling all of that. But it starts with 2 or 3 layers of virtual assistants. And then it goes up to kind of my partner who handles that specific division. And I don't really hear about that much. And then we have other VAs who are handling our bookkeeping. All the bookkeeping for people who invest into our syndications, bookkeeping for our businesses and expenses that we have in-house, bookkeeping for all the different companies and organizations that we're involved with and in our nonprofit organization. And my business is a little bit more complicated. You know, you don't have to overthink the virtual assistant thing. You just need to sit back, look at, and think about, what are you spending most of your time on? Number one. Number two, is that stuff that you can eliminate? And my limited mindset initially told me that, man, I got to be the guy that does this. I need to be the guy that oversees all the marketing and I need to be the guy that, once you start stepping away, is when I can focus on big picture. I can let my brain do what I'm good at. And what I'm good at is kind of creating that yellow brick road that our business is going to follow throughout the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months. I don't want to be buried into, did Johnny show up for work today? And I got a team of these people. If I only have 1 or 2 VAs, when I started, I had 1 or 2 VAs. Then I'm very hands-on with them. You know, one of them acted as pretty much my personal assistant, making phone calls for me, checking emails for me, getting to know my business and what our goals are. And then they start implementing and strategizing and giving suggestions of how we can get a little bit better, because a lot of these VAs have worked for other companies. And so they come in with some ideas and some strategies that maybe other people have implemented that maybe I never thought of, and things of that sort. Let's see, any other questions that we got here? How are businesses leveraging virtual assistants to improve customers? Bree, I'll ask you this one. How are businesses leveraging virtual assistants to improve customer service and efficiency?
Yeah, so in this case, I think of a VA. If a admin person in an office can do it, or you think of like maybe a receptionist who's handling those initial customer service issues, a VA can do it. So that's anything from handling customer complaints, answering those general FAQ questions, resolving tech issues a customer might have. Any customer service problem you can think of, our VAs can do that.
How are VAs used in property management? Long story short, they can handle probably about 75 to 80% of it. On some of our properties, they handle 100% of it. We have a couple properties that are in very, very, very good areas. And those areas we have on lock boxes with video cameras. And the lock boxes are, if somebody wants to see a property, they need to submit their driver's license. And then when they get to the property, they need to take a selfie to make sure that that selfie matches that driver's license. So those particular properties, we don't necessarily even need an on-site property manager or someone to open the door. And the door locks itself when people leave, and everything inside of that apartment is video cameraed. So I know who comes in, when they come in, and when they leave. And then the property manager handles pretty much absolutely everything, from marketing and advertising the property in the morning, every morning, Facebook Marketplace, apartments.com, fielding all the emails and different things that come in from potential residents, scheduling and coordinating those potential residents to go see the apartment, whether it's with a property manager, whether it's with an on-site person, whether it is the keyless entry that I just described. And then they do the follow-ups. The follow-ups, hey, what'd you think of the apartment? Here's a questionnaire, fill it out real quick. Was it clean? Was it dirty? Was it nice? Was it not nice? Was everything as expected? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? What do you love? Blah, blah. To sending out leases, taking the leases and implementing the leases and putting them into the database for the property manager on the property, whether it's in-house property management or third-party property management. If we have portals for all of our existing tenants. With that, they coordinate all of the maintenance requests. They coordinate pretty much everything from A to Z that you do not have to be on site at that property. Now, I still want someone to go walk around that property, keep an eye on it, etc. But I'm able to eliminate 70, 80, 90% of that property manager's responsibility on a majority of our properties. And we're so much more efficient at it. And the cool thing is, one or two virtual assistants can manage several different properties in several different markets because it's all by telephone with local numbers being dialed into our main phone system. They have access to all the email addresses. And on top of that, if the property manager if the VA runs out on property management duties, then we have them go and do other things. Such as admin work, such as bookkeeping, such basic bookkeeping. So a virtual assistant can wear many, many hats. What else in regards to property management? Those would be the big ones. They handle the CRM and sending out weekly updates to all of the current residents. I shouldn't use the word tenant. But pretty much everything and anything you can think of that you don't have to be hands-on with. And our virtual assistants, whoever, if it's a property management VA like that, and they're kind of on top of everything, I also have them sit in on our asset management calls so they understand what's going on with the property, what our goals are with the property, my team's goals from an asset management perspective. So they're really dialed in and really detailed about it. That's pretty much a lot of the property management aspects of it. Do we buy in Brooklyn, New York, or do we know anyone? Vince, you buy in Brooklyn?
No, I do not. New York's got a lot.
I do not know, and
I don't know anyone. They have a lot of crazy laws in New York, so I don't know if I would ever buy in Brooklyn.
And I asked Vince only because he's from Jersey, which is right next door. Do you also develop home care facilities for seniors? We do. I'm actually sitting right now. Here's one we just developed. I'm sitting in one of the units right now. We just got occupancy on this particular property. The city, this was a ground up development started in 2017. We bought it last year and we finished off the project. And we are right now, we're meeting with the city, which is why I'm here this week. We're meeting with the city in regards to installing street lights out on the street to light up the street. And we had what's called an as-grade done on the property, which was pretty much the grading for the entire property. They came and measured the height of all the sidewalks, of all the properties and all that stuff for city record.
Where are you? Are you in California or you're somewhere else now?
Right now, I am in California at the assisted living project that we purchased in June. I remember I was living in an RV on site. That is no longer the case. This property is complete. Project is complete, and now we have an assisted living facility, another one under contract that we will be proceeding with and starting due diligence this week on, actually. Joel, I'm a full-time pharmacy technician working to get into real estate by cold calling to acquire off-market properties. How can I add value to other investors looking to purchase properties? Joel, if you're cold calling and you're looking for properties, like we own a pretty decent sized wholesale company, and I started wholesaling way back in my 20s. I own one of the largest wholesale companies in Maryland, DC, Virginia. You know, whenever we're cold calling for properties, we keep an open mind. And I think Christy's on here. We keep an open mind, meaning I'm looking to make money from that property. I'm looking to network with other investors who want to buy in those particular cities. And if number one, I want to buy it. That means that the number's got to be absolute slam dunk and it's got to be an absolute win-win for my entire team. If I can't buy it, I'll wholesale it out. If I can't wholesale it out, we'll list it and sell it as a broker. So we're trying to make money from every property that we call, and we're trying to network, Vince. We're trying to network with every owner that we reach out to. We're trying to increase that database and build relationships in this business. And Joel, another word of advice would be get to know a lot of people in whatever market you're focused on, whether it's your local market or not your local market. Go to that market, attend meetups, attend conferences, get to know other individuals in that market, see what's working for them, see what asset classes are working for them, or if you're specifically focused on hypothetically assisted living, get to know, get to hang out, get to be familiarized with other assisted living facility operators, because that will serve you dividends down the road. Christy Higa says she uses Rently for contactless showings. And here's from Erica. What strategies do you use to maintain a healthy work-life balance for your virtual assistants? I did kind of touch on this a little bit ago. I don't know if that question was before I said it or not. I offer 15-minute breaks every hour that you're working. That's overkill, but I just try to go above and beyond and offer a work environment that they don't get in the Philippines. I might not be the highest paying person out there per se, but I want them to love this job, love working with us so much that they never want to go somewhere else, because they do have the option. They could go to Bree tomorrow and be like, man, Garrison's an asshole. I don't want to work with Garrison anymore. I haven't had that happen, but it could happen. And sometimes you just simply butt heads with people and it's not the right fit. So then Bree's team comes in and kind of switches things up, or works on mindset, or just straight up swaps out one VA for another. Haven't had it happen yet, but it's definitely a possibility. Can I have your email for communication? My email is garrison@investnowcapital.com. Guess I probably should have gave you my multifamily masters. Garrison@investnowcapital.com, or you can reach me at gg@multifamilymasters.com. And you can reach Bree for all of your virtual assistants at team@realhelp. Bree, it is team, right?
Yeah, team@realhelp360.com.
So that's pretty much everything I have for virtual assistants. Bree, what am I missing? What would you throw around to the audience in regards to, I've never used a virtual assistant before. I'm not intimidated by the process, but what can I expect when I reach out to you?
Yeah, so if you've never used a VA before, we will walk you through each step of it. I mentioned earlier, we will book an initial consultation call if you're interested in learning more about services. Then during that consultation call, we will go over exactly what you need to get off your hands, what processes or projects you want to offload, and then I will find the VA for you. And then I will arrange a meeting for you with that VA, make sure it's a great fit, then go through that initial process with you of assigning them tasks and making sure that working relationship is going well. And like I said, we continually monitor our VAs to make sure those client VA relationships are running smoothly, making sure they're meeting their KPIs. So really, I would say we do a great job of keeping that communication open, which again sets us apart from other companies. And we are very accessible should any questions or concerns arise. So again, if you have any questions or like to learn more, you can reach me at that team@realhelp360.com.
Hey, Bree, so what's the cost of a VA? Is there like a ladder depending on what they know, that type of thing?
So right now we're running a special. If you sign up, currently we are running a special for $9.97 a month for a full-time VA. And currently our other full-time VAs are $14.97 a month. And that is for full-time. The price would be different for a part-time VA. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so one VA is about a grand a month, you're saying?
Yep, and that's for 40 hours a week for 4 weeks a month.
Okay. All right.
So 160 hours for $1,000 and pretty much handle anything and everything you can think of. Vince, you have any VAs right now?
No, I'm just not big enough right now to use them, but I didn't realize the cold calling aspect, which is something I could definitely use help with in CRM. I'm just terrible at those things.
Yeah, no, gotcha. And the goal is to utilize a VA for everything that you are terrible for. And a lot of people think that they're not really big enough. I mean, it depends on what your goals are. You got a lot of properties and you live a pretty decent life right now. So I don't know if you're necessarily in grow mode, but there's so much you can kind of take off of your plate. And a lot of people don't have the freedom and the flexibility that you do. Like for me, I went from being super busy to still busy, but not overly busy. And that was my biggest benefit, where I was able to create some time and some distance between me and my business so I could kind of sit back, think about growth opportunities, different avenues that we want to venture down, different projects that we may or may not want to enter. You know, I even have virtual assistants, for example. I don't know, on this assisted living facility, you remember whenever I had my electric issue where I couldn't get my big electric panel boxes, everyone was telling me I'm a year out.
Yeah.
I had virtual assistants on the phone literally every day calling around all the different electric suppliers. And that's how I was able to find my box within 4 to 5 months versus the 12 to 18 months. So that in itself, if I would have paid a virtual assistant all year, and that's the only thing that they did for me, and that took about a month, that would have been a huge win for me.
Okay, it was worth it right there. Yep.
Yeah. Here's another question. Is there a discount code? Discount code is MFM, Multifamily Masters MFM. Just email her, tell her that you saw her at Multifamily Masters, you want the $9.97 discount. Now, depending on what you're looking for, you know, it could be a little bit more expensive than that, but for the most part, every VA that we have is $9.97 for a full-time one and something like $600 a month for a part-time one. Because we do have some skill sets that we only need part-time for. And some skill sets we have a full-time and a part-time, like graphic designers, we have a full-time and a part-time. Do you have VAs that do more than real estate? If we need someone to do website design or some developing KPIs in our company, absolutely. Yeah, Kevin, they have VAs that can kind of do all kinds of businesses. I know a lot of their VAs deal with plumbers, electricians, and HVAC people in the service type of industry, and a lot of doctors and dentists and lawyers type of stuff. But pretty much, if you need someone to do anything on the computer, someone to do anything on the phone system, reach out to Bree, reach out to team at realhelm360.com, and they'll square it away and take care of you. And if some crazy reason they can't help you, they'll just simply tell you. Other than that, any questions, Bree? Anything you think that I'm missing?
I think you gave a really great overview. And again, I put that discount code in the chat for anyone who's interested. Just send a message to that email address with MFM to claim that discount.
Awesome. I am going to end the recording, but we're going to keep this channel open and we're going to network a little bit. We're just going to talk about real estate projects. Bree, I know you're traveling right now. You can stay on. You don't have to stay on. Some people might have some VA questions for you. But we do this after a lot of our calls where we keep the channel open, and it's just a way for us to network. Networking is the biggest part of business, is the biggest part of real estate, is the biggest part of commercial real estate. My name is Garrison Gilbert. This is Miss Bree. She is from realhelp360.com. I am from multifamilymasters.com. This was one of our mastermind events, a little bit different than a lot of them. Earlier today, I just decided to open it up to the public. Last week, we talked about operations. Today, we talked about virtual assistants. Next week, we're talking about capital raising and different automations that we put in place to raise a lot of capital on LinkedIn. So that's next week's call. And we're going to have a underwriting call. Maybe I'll open the underwriting call up to the general public. But we have underwriting calls. I try to have them once a month or so, where we really dig into the numbers of either properties that I've considered purchasing, properties that brokers have sent over to us, etc. But we have this very affordable mastermind We have a very tight-knit community. Long story short, it's a way for me to hold a lot of people accountable. It's a way for me to look over a lot of individual shoulders, making sure that they don't make some of the same mistakes, some of the dumb mistakes that I see a lot of people making in today's real estate world. That is the biggest part of, I'm kind of out of the coaching business per se. I used to be one of the biggest coaches in one of the biggest coaching programs. And I was a top rated coach in that program, and I just kind of got burnt out on it a little bit. So I created this mastermind, small group settings. We go over the ins, the outs, the details, A to Z of how to buy commercial real estate, whether it's assisted living, how to raise capital, how to buy apartment buildings, how to find deals, how to operate deals, all the stuff that the gurus, the fluff that they want you to believe one thing, and necessarily this business isn't quite like that. I try to keep it raw. I try to keep it real. I try to show people what this business is really like and what you can expect when you buy a $5, $8, $10 million property, or whether you go and you buy your first 4-unit. It doesn't matter. The systems and the strategies are the same. And I want to make sure that you do what number one is most important in this business, and that's looking out for your capital, your cash, your investors' capital, your investors' cash, so you don't make some of the same mistakes a lot of people in today's world are making. Much appreciated. I'm going to hit the end record button. I appreciate everyone hopping on here. We're going to keep this channel open for networking opportunities.